the midnight haze, chasing shadows in the darkest maze. Footsteps echo in the empty hall, mysteries waiting on our call. Bigfoot stomping through the pines, aliens sending secret signs, EVPs in the dead of night, ghosts dancing in the pale moonlight. Paranormal for what we bring it to you, truth behind the veil, gotta pursue you.
Oh,
man,
yes.
that song just jazzes me up.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm ready to party.
Too bad you guys got to get in here early to hear that now.
I know. It's no one. It's crickets. Right. Where's my crickets? There, that's crickets.
Crickets.
Where did everybody go? Hey, we got a good show tonight.
Sure do. Hope everybody's doing all right tonight.
Yeah. Oh man, I just forgot.
Uh-oh. What is it?
We're hopefully going to be going somewhere here real soon.
Where?
The Witch's Circle.
The Witch's Circle. Yes.
We're going to go scope the place out again.
We went.
And
hello, Only Oscars.
Hello, Only Oscars. Hey, we're going to be doing a field trip sometime soon. And we're going to go to the Witch's Circle and do a live investigation there.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be fun.
We tried to scope out a cemetery last night, and it's private property, so we can't do it.
Yeah.
We think it's private property. They closed the gate at dark.
Yeah. Yeah, spooky. Yeah, the Witch's Circle.
But the Witch's Circle is a place over here real close, probably about 30 minutes away from us, that has a pretty gruesome history.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, we're
I'm hoping that all the spirit boxes and everything just tries to run us out of there.
They might just die.
Of course, I ain't going to run nowhere, but
yeah, I might.
No, you won't.
I probably won't run. I'll walk real fast.
No, Jason, we got to stay.
Can I take a motor scooter
for the 1 hour show? It's going to be awesome. So tonight's show, Jason, what's tonight's show about?
Tonight we're going to be talking about supernatural beliefs in the medieval world.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to dive into the shadowy corners of the medieval mind, exploring the rich tapestry of supernatural beliefs that permeated daily life back in the Middle Ages. Forget the sanitized, romanticized images of knights and castles. We're going to explore the world of elves, fairies.
Which elves are fairies. So
the undead.
Nice.
And the terrifying notion, I like this one, supernatural abduction.
Yes. Well, what's funny is that the elves were also known. Hello, Shell.
Howdy.
For abducting people.
Yeah, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of people have started trying to tie the two between alien abductions, Only Oscars, undead zombies, yes. Between elves and fairies, because elves is a type of fairy, and the modern day abduction scenarios of UFOs. And they think that they are very similar in lost time and a bunch of things like that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just wondering if it might be the same phenomena, but just told through a medieval eyes versus today where we have more technology.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing. Maybe we'll have to do a show on that sometime.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah. So the medieval period, spanning roughly from the 5th to the 15th century, was a time of immense change and uncertainty. Life was often harsh, punctuated by disease, famine, and war. In the absence of scientific understanding, which like he was just talking about, people wanted explanations for the inexplicable in the realm of the supernatural. This wasn't merely folklore. It was deeply ingrained. It was a deeply ingrained worldview that shaped their actions and fears.
Right. So, beyond the whimsical images of the modern portrayal of fairies, which I think, depending on your beliefs, you can experience angels or aliens. Just my thought. I think you're right. I will agree with you 100% on that one. Portrayal of fairies as benevolent winged creatures is a far cry from the medieval understanding. Now, in those times, elves and fairies were perceived as powerful, capricious beings, often more akin to elemental forces than gentle sprites. Now, they were inhabitants of liminal spaces, or those in-between places where boundaries of the natural and supernatural blurred. Dense forests, ancient hillocks, mist-shrouded marshes, and even the unsettling, quiet moonlit fields. Their presence was a constant, if unseen, aspect of daily life, instilling a sense of awe and, more frequently, fear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, back in those days, they really didn't know what to think. Nothing but, supernatural if something happened.
Right. Well, their worldview, and yes, only Oscars I do. Angels are technically aliens.
Yeah.
Their worldview was broken down like that, right? Everything was, everything that happened to you because you got a hex put on you. That's why you're sick, or they didn't have the notion of
it just happens.
Yeah,
naturally.
Right.
Anything bad,
someone is thinking about it. That's the evil eye. It's the all these things. Yeah, you were told what to think exactly. And in some ways, people still want to do that same thing. Now, the ambiguity. Thank you, Jason. Of the she. Now, in Celtic, the she is what they called the sprites or fairies.
It's actually spelled S-I-D-H-E.
Yes, S-I-D-H-E, but it is pronounced she. Particularly in Ireland and Scotland, they were known as a she, or the good people, which was a euphemism born out of respect and fear. Now, this polite term was a way to avoid directly naming them, which was a practice believed to prevent attracting their attention or provoking their wrath, which they were said to be so easily provoked.
Mm-hmm.
The she were seen as possessing immense power, capable of bestowing both blessings and curses. They were very beautiful, very alluring, but easily offended. Now, their motivations often inscrutable to humans. They were a reflection of nature's unpredictable temperament, embodying both its beauty and its potential for destructions.
So, we're going to talk about 11 arrows and unseen harm.
Yes.
So, sudden illness, unexplained pains, and unexpected misfortunes were often attributed to 11 arrows. These were invisible projectiles launched by these supernatural beings. This belief served as a way to explain the unpredictable nature of disease and accidents, in a time before we had understanding of it. It was a tangible manifestation of the unseen forces that could disrupt human lives. And it's a constant reminder of their vulnerability The fear of these unseen attacks permeated daily life, contributing to a sense of pervasive unease.
Mm-hmm.
We also have fairy rings. Hello, Barbara.
Hello, Barbara.
Thank you for joining us. We also want to talk about fairy rings and forbidden spaces. So fairy rings, they're circular formations of mushrooms. And I know everything is know about a mushroom.
That's right.
That's right.
Where you work at.
Yeah. And
just call you the Mushroom King.
And these, mushrooms pop up overnight.
Yes.
In the wild and, when they're contained. But these rings of mushrooms would appear overnight, and they were considered portals to the fairy realm. Even the magic mushroom, even the magic ones. I ain't gonna get into that.
The magic ones would take you to the fairy realm directly as a portal.
Back in the middle to late 90s, I'm not going to say anything about it, but
Michelle, mushroom expert.
Oh yeah. So these were places.
I've had some mushroom fun.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it's not bad for you. It enlightens you. Where was I at? So venturing into these fairy rings was believed to lead to abduction, disorientation, and maybe even death. The circular shape itself was filled with magical significance, and it represented the cyclical nature of time and the otherworldly realm.
Yes.
So these rings served as a physical manifestation of the boundary between the human and the fairy world. Warnings against venturing into the unknown. That's what the circles would pop up to.
Hello, Faces in the Stone, and hello, Roy. Only Oscar says, "Let's go."
Let's go. Faces in the Stones is when you try to grow them, you end up with more than you could ever use in a lifetime.
How do you know?
Yeah.
I need to know some more of this.
Like I said, in the early 90s, middle 90s, all through the 90s, you could order. It had to be the late 90s because the internet was involved. You had to order the spores, and you could order them.
You can still order them. They're legal.
Not the magical ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're the spores are not illegal. It's when you grow them and you dry them out for eating them is what makes them illegal.
Okay.
Yep. I've heard that. Got any? Roy's in the house.
Roy knows a little bit about mushrooms.
He says he stays on the outside.
Yeah. Thank you, Roy, for tuning in.
You can still order the spores. Yep. Yeah, I see them every once in a while that you could order them. So the motivations of the elves and fairies were often driven by envy, mischief, or a desire for a human beauty or strength. Now, they were seen as wanting what humans possessed, whether it was their vitality, their children, or their ability to create. Now, this envy often manifested in acts of theft, trickery, and abduction. Their actions were not necessarily malicious, but rather a reflection of their own desires and their fundamental difference from humans. They were a force of nature driven by their own agendas. How we inoculate Uncle Ben's.
Yeah, that's good to know. We now inoculate Uncle Ben's ready rice. It makes it very easy.
Yep. Yeah, it's I've heard that that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Is with rice, yeah. So now regional variations on elven nature are characteristics and behaviors of elves and fairies varied significantly across different regions of Europe. In Scandinavian folklore, elves were often associated with light and beauty, but also possessed a very dangerous allure. They were capable of leading humans astray with their enchanting songs and dances. In Germanic traditions, they were sometimes seen as malevolent spirits responsible for nightmares and illnesses. They dwelled in dark forests and haunting lonely pathways. Slavic folklore featured rusalki, water nymphs who lured men to their deaths with their beauty and haunting melodies.
That's like mermaids.
Yep, like mermaids and sirens. Yep. It's funny, huh?
Yeah.
So, fairy courts and social hierarchies. Some tales depict elaborate fairy courts complete with kings, queens, courtiers, mirroring the social hierarchies of human society. Now, these courts were often seen as reflections of human power structures with their own internal politics and power struggles. Now, this anthropomorphism made the fairies more relatable.
Say what?
Anthropomorphism.
How'd we get that word in there?
So that's where you take and make something human that's not human. So like we used to anthropomorphize the sun as a god.
Okay, so why wouldn't we say this creativity of our mind made the fairies more relatable? That sounds good.
Anthropomorphism sounds good.
So Faces of Stone says there's a whole technique to it, Oscars, that I won't go into here and now, but if you search Uncle Ben's tech, you'll get all the information you need.
Nice. So tales of fairy courts often involve complex political intrigue reflecting the anxieties and power struggles of human society.
So the Wild Hunt and Spectral Riders. So the Wild Hunt, a spectral hunt led by a supernatural figure. It was a widespread motif across Europe. It was often associated with elves, fairies, or the dead. And it was also seen as a harbinger for disaster.
Kind of like the Mothman.
Yeah. So encounters with the Wild Hunt were considered extremely dangerous, potentially leading to death or abduction.
Faces in the Stone says like Birdman of Cahokia.
Cahokia.
Yep.
Yeah. So the spectral riders, they were often accompanied by howling hounds. They were a terrifying manifestation of the supernatural and a reminder of the forces that could sweep down upon humanity without warning. So, yeah, the Mothman would fit right in there, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Harbinger of danger and disaster.
Yep.
So the language of nature, specific plants were deeply intertwined with fairy lore. Hawthorn trees, for example, were considered sacred to fairies and were often avoided. Disturbing them was believed to bring misfortune. Rowan trees, on the other hand, were believed to offer protection against fairy magic. Their wood and berries possessing potent warding properties. This association of plants with the supernatural reflected a deep connection to the natural world, where every element was imbued with meaning and power.
Yep.
They even had ointments.
Ointments?
Fairy ointments.
Oh, that sounds like women's ointments of today.
Well, you know, it was a concept.
Put this on and you're going to look like a fairy.
Yeah. The concept of fairy ointment it's a common belief, or it it was thought that fairies possessed ointments that granted them abilities. Tinkerbell.
Tinkerbell.
Yeah. She
yeah.
had the the
The
dust.
dust. Yeah. She could sprinkle it on Peter
fairy
Pan and
dust.
make him fly.
It granted them or her the ability to fly.
Mm-hmm.
And some, you could be invisible, or you could have the power to see into the fairy realm. So a lot of people, particularly midwives, were accused of using these ointments, and thus they began in league with the fairies.
Mm.
So this belief reflects the anxieties surrounding female knowledge and power.
Well, there you go. There you have the glimmer, Michelle says. Yep, that's where you start into the taking the sacred feminine out of everything. Yeah.
So in areas like childbirth and herbal medicine, it was particularly to happen there. And the fear of these ointments highlights the blurred lines between natural remedies and supernatural magic. And it was a constant source of fear and fascination.
Yeah, buddy.
You can do this one.
So let's talk about some abduction. Now, the pervasive fear of abduction, particularly by fairies or other supernatural entities, was something that was deeply ingrained and had a lot of anxiety in medieval society. It represented a profound loss of control, a terrifying vulnerability to forces beyond human understanding. Now, this fear wasn't merely a fantastical notion, it was a reflection of the very real dangers and uncertainties of medieval life. Excuse me. Now, where sudden disappearances and unexplained deaths were not uncommon, abduction stories served as a narrative framework for understanding and possessing these anxieties. They transformed the unknown into tangible, if not terrifying, threats. Now, one of these was the fear of changelings. You know what a changeling is?
Not really.
So fairies would go abduct your kid and put a changeling in its place. It looked like your kid, but it wasn't your kid. So fairy children substituted for human infants. Now, this was very potent in the time. It spoke to the deep-seated anxiety surrounding infant mortality and developmental disabilities in time before modern medicine. Also about unexplained illnesses, and these things were often attributed to supernatural intervention. Now, this changeling myth provided a framework for understanding these tragedies, even if it was flawed and ultimately, harmful to one person, right? The kid. It allowed parents to externalize their grief and frustration, attributing their child's suffering to an external supernatural force. Yeah. And that was something that they made movie about it. They've made movies about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where, matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, Angelina Jolie was in one about it. About her kid was switched. And it was for a changeling. Liminal spaces. These spaces are thresholds or crossroads, and other liminal spaces were considered particularly dangerous locations. These were where abductions were more likely to occur. Now, these places situated between different realms or states, and they were believed to be where the veil between the human world and the supernatural was thin. We still talk about that today. This concept of liminality underscored the precariousness of human existence. It highlighted the constant threat of intrusion from the other world, and it reinforced the idea that the boundaries of the known world were fragile and easily breached. And like I said, we talk about that today. We talk about the fact that the veil's thin during, October 31st, right? When we celebrate our Halloween. It's supposed to be a night the veil is very thin.
Yeah, even every night really is supposed to be thinner at 3 a.m.
3 a.m. is a place, only Oscar portals, yes. Yeah, kind of liminal spaces are like the spaces in between. So yeah, portals to other realms.
I'm going to show you a picture of a
fairy ring
portal.
The fairy ring portal of death.
Yeah, that is a unique thing to see. I mean, why would it just grow like that in a circle? Perfect.
Well, what's neat is that with Jason's knowledge too, but of working with spores, when those things go up and they spore, millions of spores just go everywhere. Right?
Yeah, I just don't understand how it would get in a circle.
Perfect circle like that. Yeah, and nothing grow in between or anything.
It's hard.
That's interesting.
Hard for nothing to grow in between.
Right.
I mean, they call these things like what first comes up is like the pin sets, and they're usually just cluttered altogether. I don't know. That's just weird. The way it grows in a circle.
That's interesting. Yeah, only Oscars should not be a circle. Yeah, that is interesting.
I got an itch. Ah, thank you.
Time distortions. So, this is where I'm sure that they're going to start talking about the missing time. Tales of otherworldly journeys often featured time distortion. Now, in the fairy realm, it's with years passing, while only days or hours elapsed in the human world. So they were there for years. When they come back, they've only been missing for a couple of days or a few hours.
Yeah.
This phenomenon reflected a fundamental difference between the human and supernatural realms. Now, this highlighted the other world's alien nature.
Ooh, aliens.
My favorite button. Jason's favorite button. It also served as a narrative device to emphasize the disorientation and psychological trauma of abduction. Now, this underscores the profound disruption it caused to the victim's life. And like I said, this is where some people are starting to look at these old abduction cases of fairy abductions. Special effects. Cool. Yeah.
Wait a minute. When we started with this board first time, David would be talking and he'd get distracted with his phone. I don't know what. He would just stop talking for minutes.
I'm thinking.
No, you was busy with your phone would ding or something, and I'd play. You get the crickets.
I would get the crickets a lot. I did. I used to.
It was pretty fun.
But it was fun. We don't use these as much anymore.
No, we don't hardly ever touch them.
Yeah.
But we do want to thank everybody.
Yes. Yes. But no, like I said, that is where though that you get the point where people are now wanting to go back and look at all these abductions from these fairies and then mesh them with the abductions from today, from the ET world, from alien abductions and stuff. And they're seeing a lot of, similarities.
Yeah.
Crickets. We have, that's our old, wasn't it? Oh, that's the bomb. We don't want to hit. Don't hit that button.
Don't hit the warning button.
Don't hit the red button. Go ahead.
So, abduction of adults.
Yes.
Forced servitude and unwanted unions.
Mhm. Well, here in the South, don't we call that a shotgun wedding?
Yes. And in Mexico, they call that what do they call that when these white bands come and abduct you? Sex trafficking.
Roy said, "Hit it, release the hounds."
So while the fear of changelings focused on children, adults were also believed to be abducted. Women were often taken to be fairy brides.
Right.
Shotgun wedding.
You're going to marry this guy, but he's so tiny. I don't care.
They were forced into unwanted unions with supernatural beings. They wouldn't have to force me.
Aliens do seem interested in reproduction, don't they? That's true.
Yeah.
And then you had a lot of people who believed that they were half fairy. Remember?
Mm-hmm. So men also were frequently abducted to serve as soldiers in fairy host or to labor in fairy mines. I didn't know they had fairy mines.
We're perverts.
Perverts, yeah. So these tales reflected anxieties about forced labor, sexual violence, and the loss of autonomy. They also served as a cautionary reminder of the human dangers of straying too far from the safety of human communities.
That's right. Don't jump in one of those fairy portals.
If you see a circle of mushrooms,
run the other way.
Yeah, don't get inside of it. You'll be
the old 20 and
transported
back.
That's like a Stargate.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
But how do you get back if you don't know the right sequence?
Right. You have to have Daniel Jackson to
decode it. Find it, decode it. Gotcha.
So the fairy stroke, sudden illnesses, and supernatural assault. Now, the fairy stroke is a sudden paralysis or illness believed to be caused by the touch of a fairy.
Roy says he's sitting inside one right now.
So another manifestation of the fear of abduction, it represented the sudden and inexplicable disruption of physical health, a terrifying reminder of the vulnerability of the human body. So this belief provided a supernatural explanation for conditions that were poorly understood, like sudden people have just dropping over, you know, they would say he's been touched by a fairy. And they just
death touch.
They just transformed that into acts of malicious intent from fairies.
Right. Well, you know, I mean, it's got to be something. How about sleep paralysis? Yes. I think that would go in with what he was just talking about too.
Yeah.
Where
being touched by a fairy.
Yeah. Where it's sudden, you know,
sudden
paralysis or illness is believed to be caused by a fairy's touch. I think that would definitely fall right into that category. And a lot of people, you know, see some weird stuff when they get that. I've never had sleep paralysis. I've never woke up and now doctors say that is you waking up before your brain really wakes up. Right. So you can't move because you're still in that state. And yet, but you're still lucid enough to see, hear what's going on around you. But because you're unconscious, your subconscious mind is still running. Is why you can see visions of the old hag on top of you. You know, you could see all these other things.
So Truth has had it.
Really?
That's wild.
Roy says if a fairy touches me, there's going to be a problem. Can't scream. Really can't move.
Just eyes open and laying there.
Try to fight to get yourself awake. Wow. So you could feel like a presence has been there?
Hmm.
Only Oscar says me either, but have been scared enough that I couldn't move. Man, that's I don't know.
I've not had one of those, but I have had a OBE
Yeah,
and a very lucid dream
I've had lucid
that
dreams.
I was trying to wake up from. That I was really trying to wake up from it, and I couldn't wake up. I was dreaming I was in a creek walking with a chainsaw, and the chainsaw hit my leg, and I could hear the chainsaw when I woke up. It was wild.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I was scared to death too
Yeah,
because I thought I cut my leg off.
oh, jeez. So, truth, was it like a it being black? Was it like a shadow person? That's interesting.
Yeah,
Very
that's the
interesting.
same thing. We've heard that before. Having a shadow person like
Well, when
on your chest
Mike
and you
Ricksecker came on, like his first time he ever came on, it was
yeah,
we was talking about shadow people and stuff like that, and he talked about being a kid and being stuck like that,
yeah,
choking him.
with a shadow
Wow.
sitting on his chest and he couldn't breathe, and it was wild.
Roy says too many beers, not enough beers.
So
But choking, that would be crazy. Like Mike Ricksecker says, he thought the one thought that he was dead because it actually placed his arms like this over him.
yeah, I couldn't handle that.
And then after it turned and left, he jumped up and ran to his mom and dad's room and screaming. That's what he said. I probably would too.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I've seen ghosts my whole life, but I've never seen a shadow person. Ever.
I have when I was younger. Well, I've told you about it, but
My wife has.
it was more of a cartoony, shadowy person.
They might take on whatever it is that's going on in your head, though.
So Truth puts salt inside a pillow and crystals to prevent this attack.
Wow.
So the psychological impact of this abduction narrative served as a cautionary tale. It reinforced social norms and deterring deviant behaviors. They warned against venturing into dangerous places, straying from established paths, and engaging in behaviors that might attract the attention of supernatural beings. So these stories instilled a sense of fear and respect for the unknown while promoting conformity and obedience within all these medieval communities.
So, Truth, I have to ask, you put the crystal in your pillow too? What crystal exactly is it that you put in there? I'm interested.
Only Oscar says not a shadow, but a person who moved different.
Yeah, now.
Next to the nightstand.
Okay. And what kind of crystal is it? This will be good when we're doing, cleansings
Yeah.
and stuff. It's good to know what people have used and what they've, had really good.
White diamond crystal.
Okay. Okay.
So salt and crystals.
Salt's been used for thousands and thousands and thousands of years for that very thing. You'll see it used a lot in movies and stuff where they'll make the salt ring around them before they cast summoning spells and different things. Because, supposedly salt, the purity of it and the properties of it make it to where spirits can't come through.
Yeah.
But now if you take and break the circle,
Yeah.
it's got you.
You know, it reminds me of a movie. It's a kids movie, but and it was about these fairy things, the supernatural. What was the name of that? Where the kids, they put on the glasses and they could see them, the goblins and stuff, but there was a salt circle around the house,
Mm-hmm.
and those goblins couldn't come forward past that salt circle. And it's pretty wild.
Hmm.
I can't it's on, I know it like the back of my hand, but I can't think of it.
It happens to me all the time. That's why I have my wife. I call her my brain. TV show Supernatural. Yes. Yeah, this TV show Supernatural. So I watched that for a very long time. And yeah, Sam and Dean Winchester were the names of the guys on the movies anyway, or on the TV shows. But if my wife has never saw it, and so we just started going through and started watching some of it, and I was really surprised that, you know, watching it again now, going, man, that played on, you know, that was started on CW. It played on CW pretty much the whole time it played. So sorry, everybody. No. That was work. It was work. But no, that movie right there, though, a lot of the things that they did in that movie, they must have researched very well, because they knew a lot of the stuff about silver and about iron for fairies. Fairies iron.
Right.
You know, you can't take iron. And so they knew, but the TV show had all of that stuff in it. I mean, I think it lasted like 17 years or something. Yeah.
I know the name of the movie now. The Spiderwick Chronicles.
Spiderwick Chronicles.
They also have a series, but the movie's good. I haven't watched the series yet, but you couldn't even feed these little goblins. I think it was chocolate or something, or you couldn't feed them something, or they would go really crazy and wild. Because there was good goblins and then the bad creatures.
Okay. Only Oscar says, from my experience, they used the correct supernatural spells and lore. I think they did, yeah. And then going back and watching them like I am now, I'm really amazed at how they went through and they did everything, because they really did it well, for sure. Now, abduction narratives also serve as a way to process trauma and make sense of unexplained events. They provide a narrative framework for understanding and coping with experiences that otherwise are unexplainable. They do this by attributing these events to supernatural forces. Also, you know, people could find a sense of meaning and control in the face of chaos and uncertainty. Those who returned from the fairy realm often found it difficult to reintegrate into human society. Now, they were often changed by their experiences, haunted by memories of other world, and they could be seen as changed or even mad. Now, this reflected the profound psychological impact of abduction, highlighting the lasting trauma it inflicted on its victims. Now, what's funny about that is, only Oscars don't feed the gremlin after midnight. The funny part about that is that you could say the same for victims that are got alien abduction that remember it.
Yeah.
They have the same thing, you know, they're haunted by it usually.
Yeah, they recollect it all the time.
Yes.
And they're not really all there when they come back. They're different, changed.
Yep. So you could really see them mirroring images of that, you know. Now, the abduction motif, with its themes of loss, fear, the unknown, it does resonate in contemporary culture. It does reflect a universal human anxiety about vulnerability and the forces beyond the control. And now this also goes from alien abduction stories to modern fairy tales. This same fear of being taken away by something otherworldly remains a powerful and enduring theme. Now, this power is a testament to the medieval abduction narrative, which is a chilling reminder of the fragility of human existence in the face of the unknown.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to get to start the next one.
So now we're going to get into the undead.
Life is chaos. Absolutely.
Very much.
Yeah.
Right now, anyway.
It's chaos. I think it has always been.
I would say there was a time when you didn't have a lot to worry about.
Yeah, when you was a kid, you didn't know any better.
Right. That was a great time.
Yeah, you didn't know.
You didn't
about
really
bills.
care.
Yeah, you didn't know about bills. You didn't
As long
know
as
about
you got that peanut butter and jelly sandwich and a glass of milk.
Yeah.
Watch a little TV, you good.
Yep. No homework that day.
No. So the fear of corruption and the unnatural, the undead. The medieval fear of the undead went far beyond simple horror. It was rooted in deep-seated anxiety about the corruption of the body and the soul after death. Roy says he's going back to being a kid. Be nice.
I think as we get older, Roy, that happens anyway, right? You come out of diapers and go right back into them.
And you really don't care who changes it.
Yeah, you get old enough, you're just like, change me. Give me another bottle.
So the natural order was disrupted when a corpse meant to decompose and return to earth, instead it rose again.
Right.
Animated by an unnatural force. This transgression against the natural cycle of life and death was profoundly disturbing to people. It represented a fundamental breakdown of the world as it was understood. Now that, that would be something to see somebody raised from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
And where the undead originally, it originated the word zombie anyway, in what's the place? Haiti. We did a show on this, the zombies of Haiti. And they were like a witch, I guess a witch doctor, whatever, would go to the grave of a dead person and bring them back to life to serve them. And there's actually a guy, it's on all over the internet, that can't speak or hardly anything, but they claim he was dead and he came back a few years later.
Right. Well, he finally got away from the forced labor place.
Right.
Found his way back home, and it was like 20 years later or something like that.
20 years.
And he got to see his daughter and all kinds of stuff. But yeah. Yep. Roy says, what? My parts worked when I was a kid. Well, yeah, that's why you have to get diapers changed. Because your parts work. Only Oscar says, I worked at Toys R Us. I can say that.
She's still a kid. That's what she said.
Mm-hmm. Always a kid. It's great to stay that way.
Yeah. So along with the undead, we have vampires. While vampires were and are the most iconic representation of the undead in today's world, medieval beliefs encompassed a wider range of revenants, animated corpses, restless spirits. Each type of undead creature carried its own specific fear and anxieties. Some were driven by vengeance, others by insatiable hunger,
insatiable
hunger.
Yes, brains.
And still others by a lingering connection to their former lives. I think that happens a lot.
I think that could be some of the reasons that spirits hang around.
Yeah. So this diversity reflected the complex fears surrounding the death and the afterlife.
Yep. Well, I think that's why we like to go, doing some nighttime investigations, looking for ghosts.
Yeah.
Which we're going to be doing again here real soon, everybody.
Oh, yeah. We might be going to the
Dark
woods.
Shadows. That was a good show. The original Dark Shadows. That was a very good show. The movie with Johnny Depp was not bad either. I think it was pretty good.
So the cause of undeath were often linked to societal transgressions and moral failings. Violent death, excommunication, unholy vows, and curses were all believed to predispose a person to becoming undead. This connection between undeath and moral corruption reinforced social norms, and it deterred deviant behavior. And it serves as a reminder of the consequences of being bad.
Sitting here looking, only Oscar says, I just thought of the movie Life Force. And
alien vampires.
Yeah, so when space mission involving American and British astronauts encounters an alien craft, the humanoids within are brought aboard the shuttle. Back on Earth, one of the extraterrestrials, who appears to be a gorgeous woman, proceeds to suck the life force out of various Londoners, turning the town into a city of roaming half-dead people. The surviving astronaut realizes what is happening. He sets out to stop the ruthless alien presence. I don't think I've ever heard of that movie. I might have to watch that now. It's in Halley's Comet. Interesting.
So you can tell them about the rituals in preventing, warding off the stuff.
So people in medieval times employed a variety of rituals and practices to prevent the dead from rising. Now, these rituals often involve physical manipulation of the corpse, which reflected an attempt to control what was actually uncontrollable. They buried the deceased face down, striking them through the heart. Placing objects like iron or garlic in the grave were very common practices. Now, these actions weren't merely superstitious. They were practical attempts to ensure that the dead remained dead and to prevent them from returning to haunt the living.
I've heard that before.
Yeah. They've uncovered some graves overseas. I was watching a thing on it not too long ago, and they had these special iron cuffs or something on them, and their jaw was broken or something, and they were like, "Oh, this was indicative to them thinking that this person was a vampire." Yeah. So, in cases that they suspected of undeath, an exhumation was a common practice. So the corpse would be carefully exhumed and looked for signs of corruption, such as fresh blood, bloating, or the absence of decomposition. Now, these physical signs were interpreted as the evidence of the corpse's unnatural animation, which would justify further actions to neutralize the threat. So the scrutiny of the corpse was desperate and a visceral attempt to confirm the fears that haunted communities. And again, you could see this. They open up graves and they see this all over Europe.
Yeah, Barbara says they still practice it in Europe. Eastern Europe.
Wow. Royce's graveyard dead.
Yeah, so the undead served as a powerful metaphor for social disorder and the breakdown of natural disorder. Their presence disrupted the peace of the communities.
Anne Rice was my favorite.
Yeah. Causing fear and chaos. They represented the lingering presence of past transgressions, unresolved conflicts, and the anxieties that plague medieval society. So the Walking Dead were seen as a physical manifestation of the societal ills that threaten to undermine the stability of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So the vampires' Eastern European reign. In Eastern Europe, the belief, which Barbara says it's still going on today, the belief in vampires was particularly strong, with elaborate rituals for identifying and destroying them. And these rituals reflected the specific anxieties and cultural beliefs of the region, highlighting the regional variations in undead lore. The vampire, with its insatiable thirst for blood, embodied the fear of contagion and the draining of life's force.
Mm-hmm. Well, would you want to get the contagion?
No, I'd like to be a contagion.
If a vampire said, "I can make you a vampire right now,"
if I could hunt deer and stuff like that, you know, my favorite movies. Some
well,
of
and
them.
Anne Rice's they you know, when they went underground and stuff, they'd eat rats.
Yeah. I'll stick to deer and antelope and just play with them. Where the deer and the antelope play. So the undead were often seen as a contagious, capable of spreading their corruption to the living. The fear was likely exaggerated by the frequent outbreaks of plague and other diseases, which were often attributed to supernatural causes. The idea of the undead as a spreading threat reinforced the anxiety surrounding disease and death, highlighting the vulnerability of human communities.
Yes, Michelle, he would only want to be one if he could get the sparkles.
Yeah, I want to be a sparkly vampire.
I don't think I watched the movie or the series The Strain. I know I've seen it, like not seen it as in watched it, but seen it as in scrolling through. I don't think I've seen it. Actually watched it anyway. Truth says yes. Now, those who were considered social outcasts, such as criminals, those who died by suicide, or those who were excommunicated, you are excommunicado, were often believed to be more likely to become undead. Man, just for being excommunicated, you might just be undead. Now, this association reflected the fear of those who deviated from social norms and a belief that they were more subtle to supernatural corruption. It also served as a form of social control, reinforcing the importance of conformity and obedience. And we all know how the church wants its obedience. The medieval fear of the undead continues to resonate in contemporary culture, shaping the horror genre and influencing our understanding of death and the afterlife. From classic vampire novels to modern zombie films, the undead remain a very powerful but enduring symbol of fear and the unknown. Now, the legacy is a testament to the power of the medieval undead narrative, a chilling reminder that anxieties that have haunted us as humans for centuries.
This show's a little longer than what I thought.
Yeah, I think when you wrote this one, it was for a 2-hour show.
Oh,
We're almost there.
Yeah, we're almost there.
I watched True Blood, but only like 2 or 3 seasons. I think that's it. Native Americans who were underground with the ant people. Maybe they were vampires. Yes, you're talking about the Hopi Indians. Yeah. They went down for a time to save them during the destruction of the Third Age, and then they were brought back up after that destruction was over to what they now consider we're in the Fourth Age.
So where did the ant people go? They went back under?
Mm-hmm.
And
underground.
Possibly inner earth.
Yep. Hollow Earth theory.
Hollow Earth, yes.
Yep.
It's possible.
Mm-hmm. They came up to save the Hopi Indians, took them down until the destruction was over, and then brought them back.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting, huh?
It is. Now, you want to do this one, or should I?
It doesn't matter.
Because this one's a little interesting.
What was that, Shell?
R plus flamingillamo. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the Christianity and supernatural beliefs in this medieval period.
Yes.
The church played a dual role: suppression and incorporation. The medieval church held a complex position regarding supernatural beliefs. On one hand, it sought to suppress pagan practices and beliefs, viewing them as heretical and demonic. But then again, on the other hand, it has often incorporated elements of these beliefs into Christian doctrine.
Mm-hmm.
What would you call that?
Well, I'd call it Christmas. I'd call it, quite a few other holidays that we celebrate.
So adapting them to fit within the established framework of Christianity. So this dual approach reflected the church's desire to assert its authority while also accommodating the deeply ingrained folk traditions of the populace.
It's called whitewashing.
Yes. Or hypocrisy.
Well, it's you can't celebrate this holiday, but we're going to call it this day now. And so we'll celebrate this day, even though it's on the same day.
Yeah.
Same celebration, but we're just going to call it this. Yeah. Instead of winter solstice, you get,
Yeah.
Christmas.
Okay. I'll let you take
Easter.
The next one.
Oh, we're already done. I need to go up then, huh?
Yeah.
So there's a key strategy of the church. Excuse me, was the demonization of pagan deities and spirits. Now, figures once revered as gods or nature spirits were reinterpreted as demons or servants of the devil. Now, this process allowed the church to assert its dominance over pre-existing belief systems, which transformed potential rivals into threats to clear Christian orthodoxy. Now, this demonization served to create a clear dichotomy between good and evil, with Christianity representing the former and paganism the latter. Now, conversely, the church promoted the veneration of saints who were seen as powerful intercessors between humans and God. Saints were believed to possess supernatural powers capable of performing miracles, healing the sick, and offering protection against evil. Now, their relics are considered potent sources of divine power, attracting pilgrims and serving as focal points for religious devotion. Yeah, they used to put them out so people would come from all around and pay them money to see them. Mm-hmm. Vatican, they practice a lot of rituals. Yes, they do. Now, this emphasis on saints provided a Christian alternative to pagan supernatural figures, which offered protection and hope in a world filled with perceived dangers. Now, the role of relics and miracles, which were physical objects associated with saints, which played a crucial role in the religion of, the medieval time. Now, they were believed to possess miraculous powers, capable of healing illnesses, warding off evil, and granting divine favors. Got the red phone. Hey, God, I need something. Will you break John's leg because he called me something today?
And you have to do it because I have this toenail of a saint.
That's right. It's real. Now, miracles often attributed to the intercession of saints reinforce the belief of supernatural power of Christianity. This phenomena served to solidify the church's authority and again reinforce the faith of the populace. Now, this is one that we do like to delve into.
Oh, yeah.
Exorcism.
This is a good one.
Now, the church provided the rite of exorcism as a means of combating demonic possession. Now, this ritual performed by ordinary clergy was believed to expel evil spirits from the bodies of the afflicted. Now, exorcism served as a tangible manifestation of the church's power over the supernatural. So, it helped those people who were suffering from perceived demonic influences. A relic, yes. Now, the Malleus Maleficarum was a very bad thing. It was a book that was written. The publication of the Malleus Maleficarum in the 15th century marked a significant escalation in the persecution of suspected witches. Now, this detailed the supposed practices and powers of witches, which was fueled a widespread of fear of witchcraft and the belief that witches were in league with the devil. Now, during this era, witch hunts reflected the growing anxieties surrounding heresy and perceived threats of demonic influences. And a lot of people lost their lives for no reason.
Yep.
A lot. Just because you would live off in the woods and use herbs, you're a witch. Exorcisms are pretty neat. We had somebody on one time. What do you remember his name? Dang it, I hate that I can't remember his name.
He's from New York.
He has a book out.
Yeah. Demonic Foes.
Yeah, Demonic Foes is the name of the book. The book is very awesome. He said that they're going to be making a movie out of it.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be coming back on the show after the movie, but Demonic Foes, and he is Dr. Richard Gallagher.
Dr. Richard Gallagher. Yes.
Man, it just popped in my head. He is a board certified psychologist and don't really believe a lot in a lot of that stuff. He says it's kind of That's kind of why they picked him, is because he wasn't a major believer.
He worked with the church on exorcisms, and they would send the people to him that they thought might need exercise so they could tell if it was, just mental or.
Yeah. If he thought that they were really possessed, if it was something other than a mental problem. So. Yeah. Now he said that he had been there during some exorcisms. Of course, he never did any. He was a, psychologist, but it was pretty interesting though, talking to him, because some of the people that he had to interview and stuff for the church was pretty amazing. And there's one woman in the book, I forgot her name, but man, she was something else. She could divine things and all kinds of stuff. So
the blending of Christian and pagan beliefs.
Yep. I think, there's a lot of other cultures that do perform exorcisms. You have, I think in the Native American culture, you have exorcisms that are done of sorts, what we would call that. And I mean, all the way back to the Abrahamic religions. I mean, not just Christianity side of it, but the Judaism side of it. They've got these old bowls that are thousands of years old that have spells written inside of them in Jewish handwriting, or that are spells against warding off demons and all different kinds of stuff.
My son went through it.
Wow.
Hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So despite the church's efforts to suppress paganism, a significant degree of syncretism occurred. Many folk practices and beliefs, such as the use of amulets and charms, persisted alongside Christian rituals. And this blending of traditions reflected the enduring power of pre-Christian beliefs and the difficulty completely eradicating them. The use of Christian symbols alongside older pagan ones was very common.
It's still common. What's the symbol of Jesus?
Cross. No, the fish.
The fish.
Yeah.
Well, you know what the fish is?
I never really looked into it.
You can see it. It's a
Pisces.
zodiac. It's a zodiac sign.
Yeah, Pisces. Yeah.
Which is older than what they use it for to say it's Jesus.
Yeah.
That's a pagan symbol. God Dagon.
So the local priest, or the parish priest, often served as a crucial link between the community and the supernatural realm. They performed exorcisms, blessed homes and fields, and offered spiritual guidance to those facing perceived supernatural threats. The priest's role extended beyond religious duties, encompassing a wide range of social and spiritual responsibilities. I think some of them actually translated a lot of the Bible for them back in the medieval times.
God the fish called Dagon.
Huh. Didn't know that. So Christianity, no, it's your turn.
So Dagon was an ancient Mesopotamian and Canaanite deity, often associated with fertility, agriculture, and grain. Later depicted as half man, half fish figure, particularly by the Philistines.
And that's the god, the fish called Dagon.
So during that time, it was marked by recurring apocalyptic fears fueled by plagues, famines, wars. Now, these contributed to a heightened sense of vulnerability and belief in the imminent of divine judgments. Now, the church played a role in shaping these fears, often interpreting natural disasters as signs of God's wrath and calls for repentance. Now, the complex relationship between Christianity and supernatural beliefs shaped every aspect of medieval culture. It influenced art, literature, music, and social practices. The church's efforts to control and integrate supernatural beliefs reflected its desire to maintain its authority and to provide a sense of order in a world perceived as filled with unseen dangers. Now, the legacy that continues to influence contemporary understandings of the medieval period, revealing the intricate interplay between faith, fear, and the supernatural. Yes.
So Only Oscar says it didn't work. He's still schizophrenic. Still believes.
But he believes he's possessed.
Mm.
So does he believe that he's possessed? And they're just because we talked with the guest that we had on about that, about schizophrenia and stuff like that. And he thinks that there's quite a few that was misdiagnosed.
Mm-hmm.
He was pretty adamant about that.
Yeah.
He was. You might want to look at that show of ours. It was a pretty good one. But we didn't do video back then, did we?
No, it's just audio.
Yeah, it's just audio.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
So medieval supernatural experiences were inherently subjective and shaped by individual perceptions, cultural beliefs, and emotional states. What one person interpreted as a demonic encounter, another person might perceive it as a natural phenomena or psychological manifestation. This subjectivity highlights the limitations of relying solely on written accounts, as they often reflect the biases and interpretations of the observer.
Right.
So, supernatural beliefs were primarily transmitted through oral tradition, through stories, songs, and folklore. This process led to variations and regional differences as tales were adapted and embellished by each storyteller. Oral traditions played a crucial role in shaping and reinforcing these beliefs, ensuring that their continuity across generations. The fluidity of oral traditions also meant that beliefs could be easily adapted to fit the changing social and cultural contexts.
That's true. Only Oscar says, I see you have a lot of podcasts. I've been watching and listening to them. Thank you. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, the one that we're talking about it'll just say Dr. Richard Gallagher.
Yeah.
Demonic foes would be in it somewhere.
Yeah. I think it's Dr. Richard Gallagher, Demonic Foes or something like that is the name of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So explaining the unbelievable. Supernatural belief served as a vital function for providing explanations for unexplained events, reinforced the social norms, and offering a sense of control in that time back then. It was chaotic.
It was. I mean, I think the average lifespan was like 30 or something. I mean,
yeah.
You had people who lived to be old, but more died because of war, famine, and all kinds of other stuff.
So, in a time before scientific understanding, the supernatural also provided a framework for interpreting natural phenomena such as illnesses, the weather, or natural disasters. This framework allowed people to make sense of their experiences and find meaning in the face of uncertainty, which a lot of people back then would think that an earthquake would be, something evil.
Yep.
Like the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Can get my fish's water changed down while listening to you. Awesome.
I'll let you.
The constant awareness of the supernatural had a profound psychological impact, which shaped people's perceptions, actions, and the belief in unseen forces, which were influenced by daily life. From avoiding certain locations to performing specific rituals, this awareness created a sense of constant vigilance, which fostered a worldview where boundaries between the natural and the supernatural were very blurred.
Meow, meow, meow.
Meow. The psychological realities of the medieval person were deeply interwoven into these beliefs. Now, across different regions of Europe, reflecting this diverse culture and historical contexts, like Scandinavian people, for example, featured distinct supernatural beings and narratives compared to those found in Mediterranean regions. So these variations highlight the importance of considering the specific cultural and geographical context when examining these supernatural beliefs. I think you did write this for a 2-hour show.
Yeah, I think I did. We got to do it, though. We can do it.
That's it. Now, storytelling did play a very crucial role in transmitting and reinforcing these beliefs. Stories about encounters with fairies, demons, and the undead often served as cautionary tales warning against deviant behavior, and they reinforced social norms. Now, these narratives also served as moral lessons, highlighting the consequences of sin and the importance of adhering to religious teachings.
Yeah, I think we're slowly closing it out, though.
Don't go into the woods at nighttime because the booger man will get you. Right? Some of those kinds of things.
Something else. The crickets might get you.
Crickets. Hey, if a billion crickets jumped on you,
they'd probably eat you up.
Probably, maybe. Or at least smother you to death, right? Now, supernatural beliefs served as social control functions. They reinforce social hierarchies and deterring deviant behavior. The fear of supernatural retribution helped to maintain order and stability within these communities. And they also had the belief in divine judgment and the threat of demonic punishment were served as powerful deterrents against wrongdoings.
Understandable.
You're going to go to hell for doing that. Yep, on the Oscars, that's right.
Well, this is how the church started, right? Through transformation of the old ways, the pagan ways. I mean, they're slowly transformed it into what we know today.
Yeah, it's not the same as when it first started. Now, social status influences the ways in which people interacted with supernatural beliefs. So the elite, for example, might have access to educated clergy who would provide interpretations of supernatural phenomena, while the peasants relied more heavily on folk traditions and local healers. Now, this variation in access to knowledge and resources shaped the ways different groups understood and interacted with these supernatural. The transition from paganism to Christianity significantly altered the landscape of supernatural beliefs in medieval Europe. Pre-existing beliefs were often integrated into Christian doctrine, leading to a syncretic blend of religious and folk traditions. This process of adaptation and transformation highlights how nature and how dynamic it is in their belief systems.
Wow.
At the end.
We are at the end. So understanding the medieval mindset.
Yes, keep us in line.
Yes.
Reincarnation vampires. I believe in reincarnation.
So understanding the context in which medieval and supernatural beliefs emerged is pretty important for interpreting their meaning and significance. So we need to consider the social, the culture, and psychological factors that shape these beliefs. We can gain a deeper appreciation for the medieval mindset and the complexity of relationships between humans and the supernatural. Examining these beliefs through a modern lens without acknowledging the historical context, it'll probably lead to misinterpretations and a lack of proper understanding. And that's the show, folks.
Wait. Yay!
All right. Great show. Great show. Loved every bit of it.
It's a lot of information.
It is.
And we did it in an hour and a half.
And it just shows you how in medieval times, how their beliefs are totally different from a lot of people's beliefs today.
It is. But yet then how some have carried over. I
Yeah.
mean, they've changed a little bit, but they're still there. The underlying, parts of it are still there.
Yeah.
That's why there's certain things that, thank you, Barbara. Thanks, Mark. That's why you have a lot of people that, like watching the vampires.
Yeah.
Because the vampires of back then were not these beautiful creatures of any kind, right?
Yeah. Too bad. They weren't sparkly.
You could go out in the daytime. They couldn't,
Recycled God. Yeah. Recycled religion.
Mm-hmm. It is a fact. But if everything goes well, like we was talking about at the very beginning of the show, maybe in next week.
Yeah. Maybe next week we will be at the Witches
Circle.
Doing a live show.
Don't say blah, blah, blah. I don't say blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
I don't say blah, blah, blah. No, the Witches Circle is something that we definitely want to do. It'll be fun.
We'll give you a little back history of it, so you'll be sure to tune in when we do it.
Mm-hmm.
The Witches Circle is close by, and back in the 60s, there was an occult group that practiced their rituals there. And it's just said, not proven, that there was a young lady that was pregnant, and these cult members, they removed the fetus from her and nailed it to a tree that's here. And we're going to be seeing that tree. We'll be right next to it with our equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, we can catch something. So that's a little backstory of the Witches Circle.
We'll definitely know.
Yeah.
When we get there.
It's going to be dark, and you got to walk a mile.
You do have to walk a while.
I wear my knee braces.
Yep. Get your crutches out.
And my poop kickers.
Yeah,
it is horrible.
It is a horrible thing. But again, this is, as of right now, a folk tale.
Yeah, we're gonna try to see if it's
if there's any validity to the actual story. Because how like some people will, I don't know how it happens, but stories get made up of places and stuff.
But everybody we've really talked to has said, I'm not going there if it's dark.
Yes. And
they've been there before, but they won't go back.
Similar to the Manson family. Yep. Yeah. If it's true, I mean, it's a terrible thing, and I hope they caught the people and did terrible things to them. But I don't know. I mean, I haven't really tried to look into it either. So
yeah, we're going to go and see if we can be surprised.
I mean, fear is the mind killer. It is. And, I've talked about it several times. And when we had our talk at the library there in Knoxville, we also reiterated the fact, because it was asked of us from the people that were there. Have you ever gone to, Brushy Mountain or some of these other places? And we talked to them about the fact of how people can put intentions on a place, and those intentions can cause things to happen that were never there. These beings were never there. There was never any kind of something there, but because these intentions were put onto a place, something automatically is there. Well, this place has had a lot of intentions put on it by a
Yeah.
lot of people, right? A lot of people have thought of this place as a terrible place, an evil place. And, again, to where this story of this, what happened to this woman supposedly comes out of all this. So even if nothing that did ever happen there, these intentions that have been placed onto this place, it could be a very, very haunted site.
Yeah.
So that's what we're hoping to find out.
Yeah. Without ourselves putting intentions on it. So we're going to be trying not to think about it too much between now and then.
Yeah. Well, not thinking about what it could be for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because again, that would put unnecessary things on the place. But yeah, lots of negative energy. Absolutely. And so I'm interested in it. I think it'll be fun. Jason's the one that was like, we need to go here. And so we've been doing our research on where here actually was.
Yeah.
Because there's like several places around that is called Witch's Circle.
Yeah. And everybody we asked, well, I've been there 20 years ago. I can't remember how to get there.
Yeah. I'm one of those people. I remember being about 18 years old and going there with little Brian.
Really?
Me and little Brian went. Yeah. Was not doing some night fishing there. And but I couldn't tell you how to get there. And I'm the one who drove there.
So should we bring a fishing pole?
You could bring your fishing pole if you want to.
May do it.
Do a little fishing, little gigging.
If anything pops up and says something to us, we'll just say, we fishing.
We just fishing.
Cat fishing.
That's it. But I think it's going to be a fun place.
Yeah,
I really do. And so it's going to be fun to get to do that. And then we have some places that we're going to be here real soon, right, Jason?
Yeah, May the 2nd, we're going to be at the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Festival in Townsend, Tennessee. Yes, we have to have snacks because
eat snacks.
Sugar might go down out there in the middle of the
bottled water.
Yeah. Noodling.
Uh-oh.
I don't think I want to do that.
I've never noodled before.
Me neither, and I don't want
I'm afraid of sticking my hand down there and getting a snapping turtle or something. Something biting me that won't let go.
Have you seen the stuff that they pull out of the
could you imagine a gar?
Yeah, and some of the stuff they pull out, I don't know if these rivers have it, but I've seen pictures where they pulled out of rivers of these big giant teethed fish.
Gar.
No, these are fish with big old teeth, and I'd hate to get a hold of that.
Or it get a hold of you?
Yeah. Well, my hand to be noodled after that.
Spaghetti. Who don't like spaghetti? That's funny. But then where else are we going? We're going to the Bigfoot conference.
Bigfoot conference in Gatlinburg will be in June, right?
No.
Or July?
July.
Be in July. And I don't know the exact date.
Should be somewhere right around the 20th. It's right around my wife's birthday sometime.
And then we were supposed to be going to the Upper Cumberland Bigfoot Festival in October.
Yep.
That's about it right now, except I did talk to Eddie and Susan today, and they're going to try to get us to go with us to a cemetery over there where they go.
Oh, is this the one that they talked to us about on the show when they was on?
Yes.
The one that they saw Bigfoot? Or is this the one that they got the EVP?
Yeah, the EVPs and stuff, I believe.
Okay.
They're going to go with us over there and
awesome.
Actually take us, and we'll do a show there.
Another one. This one was supposedly pretty haunted.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. And, with summertime coming up, and it's going to be pretty nice.
Yeah, we'll have a lot of chances to go places.
Yeah, we have a lot more chances to get out and to do some live investigations, especially some outside places.
Mm-hmm.
We need to see about doing some other stuff too, like maybe we need to check with Chickamauga and see if as long as it's not restricted areas, if we can.
Yeah, I
be
think
out
you
there.
can. I think you can be on the road, but you can't go back into the trails part. You know.
We need to check with them. Just see what it is, because I don't want to do anything that's gonna,
Yeah.
that's in the book that's coming, right?
Yep.
Always ask permission.
Right.
Do not, trespass. So that's the reason we didn't go to the other place, because we felt like we was going to be trespassing.
Yep.
So, all right, everybody, want to say thanks for showing up. Thanks for being very active in the chat room. We love that. It makes the show go by really well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Remember, you can find us at paranormal411.org, paranormal411 on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Rumble. You tune in live every Thursday from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturdays from 8 to 10 Eastern Time. Also on Saturday nights from 10 to 11, if you're in the metro Atlanta area, you catch us on WDJY-FM. That's 99.1. On listeners outside of Atlanta, though, they can still listen, right? Yeah, they go to WDJYFM.com or click the link on our website at paranormal411.org. We're also on Subspace Radio and all major podcast platforms. Remember the book, East Tennessee Hauntings and Lore Edition 2. East Tennessee Hauntings and Lore Edition 2 is available on Amazon or at paranormal411.org. Join us.
Join us, and we'll see you guys Saturday.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
In the heart of Madisonville, Tennessee, lies a pizzeria like no other. Step through the door of Legends and Lore Pizzeria and be transported to a realm where paranormal and cryptid encounters, along with mouth-watering pizza, go hand in hand. Meet Eddie and his crew, who serve up slices of the supernatural along with the best pies in town. With the walls adorned with eerie artifacts, indulge in piping hot slices that melt in your mouth and tease your taste buds. And it's not just the locals who love the incredible pizza. Legends and Lore has been selected as the best pizza joint in all of Monroe County. As lovers of everything pizza and the paranormal, the owners have mastered the art of crafting unforgettable combinations that will leave you wanting more. To stay connected with this mystical eatery, follow Legends and Lore Pizzeria on Facebook, where tales of their latest creations and upcoming specials will be shared. Make sure to browse their custom menu, featuring legendary pizzas like the Chupacabra Ranch and the Exorcist. So, whether you have an appetite for the supernatural or simply seek the best pizza in town, Legends and Lore is the place to be. Come for the unforgettable flavors, stay for the captivating stories, and find yourself in a world where legends and pizza collide.
What if the world we know is merely a fraction of reality? What if there are forces, entities, and phenomena that exist just beyond our comprehension in the shadows of the unknown? Welcome to Paranormal 411, your gateway to the unexplained and the downright chilling.
Get ready to rock with the electrifying sound of Catalyst, a band that's sure to leave you wanting more. With their powerful lyrics and killer riffs, Catalyst is a great sound in the world of rock music. You can listen and find Catalyst on Bandcamp, or go to the link at paranormal411.org and click on their banner.